Good morning, everyone. So today we're going to be making flatbread. My name is Elisa, by the way. If anyone's new, we bake sourdough on here. Sometimes we do other things, like last week we made peanut tempeh. If you're curious, that is still on Twitch. I have to post it on YouTube, but that's still on Twitch. And I'm a Jersey girl, okay? And we're going to bake. Well, we're actually not baking today. It's actually not too hot today, so maybe I could have baked, but that's okay. Feeling the flatbread today. So we're gonna make flatbread, and like I said, this is like I said previously, because we made this before. This is one of my favorite things to make in the summer because I don't have to turn on my oven, and it's really easy. It's kind of foolproof, right? I don't feel like I'm gonna mess up the shaping or anything like that. I just make them flat and put them into the pan. Easy peasy. So I'm doing this one a little differently than the last one I did and the one that's on the website. I already have this recipe on my website for sourdough flatbread, but that one is with spelt flour. However, I know not everyone has spelt flour, or it might be expensive, so I'm trying it with white whole wheat, which you should have access to, or you can use regular whole wheat, but they usually sell white whole wheat in the store. King Arthur brand sells it. It's whole wheat, just has a lighter color and slightly less whole wheat taste, but it's still whole wheat, so it's still healthy for you, you need to get those whole grains in. So I'm trying it with white whole wheat. I followed the recipe the same, except I added more water. So instead of 260 grams of water, I added 280 grams of water. And if this works out, which I think it will, we'll see, we will update I will update the recipe on my website, which I'll put right now. On my website, if you look on the recipes tab, you'll see all the recipes that we do on here. And we've already done this before, like I said, but with spelt flour. So I'll update the difference that you make. If you want to replace the spelt flour with whole wheat or white whole wheat, just up the hydration. That's because, just so you know, spelt flour doesn't absorb as much water as whole wheat flour does. So that's why I up the hydration. Those are just little things that once you bake with different flours, you'll figure it out. Now, I already made the dough this morning. I did that to make it easier today. Wanted it to be an easy day. So I did the dough this morning already. You guys have seen me make dough so many times, and it's always the same process. So I figured it wouldn't be a big deal if we didn't make the dough together today. But I'll do it again. I always make the dough with you guys, or usually make the dough with you guys. So it's risen all the way to the top, which is what we want. It's nice and bouncy, right? I started a little later just because I wanted it to rise a little bit more before I got started. But it's pretty much there. And what we're going to do, you don't need to do a second rise or a proofing period. And in fact, it's kind of better if it goes a little over because there's no proofing period, so you can let it go a little bit more than you would a dough that you're going to shape and proof again. And just so you know, if anyone's new here, usually when I'm making a sourdough bread, like a boule or batard, any loaf, there's 2 steps to the fermentation. The first one they call bulk fermentation, but I call it bulk fermentation too because that's what it's usually called, but also sometimes just first rise. The first rise is where most of the fermentation happens. And then the second rise is called proofing stage. So that's what I mean when I say there's no proofing stage in the flatbread, is that I don't need to let it rest again after it's done its first rise or first fermentation. So that makes it even easier. Another thing about this dough, and I mentioned this before, is that I actually made 2 batches of this today, okay? And one is in the fridge. And I could leave it in the fridge for several days, like 3 days, and it's fine. It's very lenient dough. I've never had a problem with it being over fermented, right? It's never happened. And it's because it's just, you're not too worried about the shaping of it. So if I did that with a regular dough, like like a batard or a boule, any kind of a loaf that I'm trying to make, it would probably get over fermented and lose its shape. But in this case, it doesn't matter too much. So yeah, I've left it in the fridge for several days before, this dough, and it's no problem. At least it was the one with spelt flour, but I believe this one would probably be the same, but we'll see. We'll test it out. Okay. This is the bread flour I use, by the way, guys. King Arthur bread flour. Ooh, you can't see it. It's King Arthur bread flour. That's the one I use. For almost all of my flours, I use King Arthur, but for some other of the specialty flours, I actually get them locally. If you guys are in New Jersey, I can let you know where I get it, but I get it from, I can't remember, River Community Grains, I think it's called. But yeah, if you live in New Jersey, just let me know, and I could tell you where I get them. That's where I get the spelt flour, for example. Okay, so super easy. Just take everything out. You can see it's nice and, I don't know if you can see it because of the lighting's a little weird. Yeah, you can see this little bubbly. You see that? Yeah, it's all bubbly. I'm just gonna pop some of the big bubbles. By the way, this is my pan. It's just a cast iron pan. It's on right now. I can feel it. It's on. You want it to get really hot, and these electric stoves take a while to get hot. I'm like, what is this? This. It takes a while to get hot, so I have it on. So I'm just gonna roll this up into a ball. I'm gonna make 6 out of this. You can make them bigger or smaller if you want, but I think 6 is good for me. Popping those bubbles. That's the amount I usually make with this recipe. Okay. It is nice and fluffy. That's good. You can weigh them out to make them equal at this point too. I don't, because I'm just making it for me. So I make it very easy, very simple. But if you want everything to be exact, say you're making it for a friend or something, you want to give it away or you want to sell it, you can weigh it out. See, for example, this one is bigger than this one. I could try to make it more even, but it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so now I have all these little dough balls, right? Some of them are triangles, some of them are rectangles. So I'm gonna roll it up. Roll it up into a ball. Okay, so all of these are gonna turn into little balls. And each of these will become flatbread. This one I can already feel is less sticky than the spelt. I think that's interesting. I think it's just because the whole wheat holds its water pretty well, holds the hydration pretty well. This one's a little small, but that's okay. Yeah, these are like they're much sturdier than the ones with the spelt. I can try to even them out a little bit. This one's a little big and this one's a little small. It's better. This one's a little small too. Maybe I should have weighed everything out because I'm a spaz. Or, it's not a nice word anymore. But you guys know what I mean. Bless you, Munchkin. Okay, that's good. Yeah, they're not really sticking. That's good. Okay. Okay, so now all we're gonna do, we have 6 in a row here. We'll take one at a time, obviously. And we're just going to roll them out. Just kind of flatten it. And then I make them into kind of oval shapes, but you can make them round if you want, or any shape. You can make them a square, I don't care. And I don't think the bread cares either, but I think this is easiest for me to just do it like this, and it just comes out like oval, kind of like that. If it's like kind of stiff, you can do it with your hands or just let it rest for a minute and then go to the next one. Because we want it thinner than this. This is too thick still, so I'll let it rest a little bit and come back to it. These are definitely stiffer than the ones with the spelts. That might make it harder to roll out a little, but they are sturdier at the same time, so they probably won't rip as easily. Although this one is thin over here, huh? All right, so let's give this one a second. Hey, no sticking. Okay, so there's a lot going on my board. So let's go back to this one and see if this one wants to be rolled out a little bit more. And it does. Just like a few minutes and it came a little thinner. So just a little bit of a rest sometimes helps with that. And then I usually do the rest with my hands like it's a pizza, just to get it to the thinness that I want it to be. I want to be able to see through it slightly. You can make it a little thicker or thinner if you want. I guess it depends on how you want to enjoy it, but let's see how. I'm bad with measurements. It's this thin. It's probably like an 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch or something. Okay. So now I'm going to put it into the pan. This should be hot enough. It feels hot. So I'm hoping it's hot enough. You want it to be very hot when you put it into the pan, and then it'll now you can see with the bread cam, it's gonna start bubbling up, and then I'll turn it around. Last time I did this, I don't remember what happened. Did they burn? Like I think they burnt because the electric stove was too hot. So I'll see what happens. I might turn down the heat. I just remember something went wrong last time. Not horribly wrong, not like it was the end of the world wrong, but They were still edible. It was just either they burnt or they weren't brown enough. It was one of those things happened. Okay, so then while that's going, because that's gonna take a few minutes, I just do all the other ones too while I'm waiting. You can see it though. See it start to bubble up. It's actually such a nice day out where I am right now. It's nice and it's raining a little, but it's nice and windy and breezy. It's nice. I probably could have baked today actually. I wasn't in the mood. The bakeress, believe it or not, was not in the mood. I was in the mood for bread, but I didn't want to turn on my oven and get everything in the oven and yarg, yarg, yarg. Next week, I'm hoping I will be baking on here. I have some things up my sleeve that I haven't done with you guys yet. Okay. I think it's almost ready to be flipped. See how bubbly it's getting right now? It's what you want. It could have been a little browner. But that's good. That's good. It's definitely not too hot then, if it's this color. But it's good. It's cooked. Let it sit on the other side. It's going to poof up again. It'll become like, it won't become a pita. The trick to making them into pita pockets is to make, it has to be really hot for it to create that pocket, right? But it does poof up like almost like a pita would. Okay. But yeah, this will not give you a pita pocket, unfortunately. It's too, I guess, not inconsistent. Like it might give you a pita pocket sometimes, but it's all about the temperature of your stove. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna need more room on my board here. And then we'll keep going with these two guys. We still have two more that we have to do. I don't know if you can see it, but it is poofing up a little bit. It's not done yet though. Definitely not done yet. So the whole process probably takes, it might take around the same time as baking bread. No, it doesn't. Let me see. Because it's 6 of them. No, it's less time than baking a loaf of bread still, even though we're doing it one at a time. I think the whole process would take about 30 minutes. And the baking a loaf of bread would take 45 minutes. And you're not heating up the oven. This is hot, so it is emitting heat, but it's not the same, obviously, as heating up the whole oven. So this is really good in the summer if you want fresh bread, but you don't want to heat up your whole house. It's really good. I make it quite often. Oh, look at that. See that? That's perfect. It's all fluffy, and you can see the brown spots. You can use this like, it's not quite naan, but it's similar enough. You can use it like naan. Because naan usually has yogurt in it, and this obviously doesn't have yogurt in it. No yogurt. It's unenriched. This is a lean dough. Yeah, but it's similar enough. You can use it like naan or any other type of flatbread. I know there's so many like regional flatbreads that are slightly different, but you know, similar enough that you could use this in replace of in the place of anything else like that. I know I've been asked before, oh, do you make naan? I don't make naan. I don't use yogurt, and I'm not going to buy vegan yogurt or vegan ghee or anything like that. Sometimes I make my own vegan yogurt, but this is easy and it's a lean dough. I prefer to make a lean dough. They're much easier than enriched doughs. Enriched doughs are kind of a pain in the butt, but I have to do that once with you guys. I was going to, but then I think I was totally burnt out, so I didn't do it. I promised it and I didn't fulfill my promise, unfortunately. But that's okay. So yeah, enriched doughs are way easier. I prefer to make enriched doughs. Unenriched or lean doughs. And the difference is, by the way, since we're talking about it, when I said this is a lean dough, I mean I don't add any fat or sugar to it. So yogurt would be a fat source, so I would say that's not a lean dough anymore once you add yogurt. And a lean dough, like I said, is just so enriched dough would have fat or sugar added to it. Like brioche is an enriched dough, challah is an enriched dough, because they add, eggs, butter, sugar, basically very, very enriched. So some are more enriched than others, right? Babka is an enriched dough, but a lean dough would be like your everyday sourdough bowl, just has flour, salt, water, basically. That flour, salt, water. Those are the only ingredients. That's a lean dough. Okay. And that's what this is, because the only ingredients were obviously water, the sourdough starter, which is just flour and water, really, just fermented. And then obviously salt and the two different types of flours, bread flour and white whole wheat. So it's still only the main ingredients. So that's why these are lean doughs. And oh, that one's good. That one looks good. And the difference is, okay, when you're making the dough themselves, obviously the taste will be different. Brioche tastes different than like a regular sourdough bowl, but adding the fat to the dough makes it harder for the dough to build gluten. So you should add the fat after you've built some of the gluten already. And most people do this with some kind of KitchenAid or something, some kind of, what are those called? I can't remember what they're called, and so simple. It's such a simple gadget. But those big mixers. I think they're called stand mixers, the big ones. And those will help you add in, like, say, butter. You see people do that online, right? If they're making brioche, they have one of those stand mixers, and they add the butter as it's mixing. So it's already started to build gluten, and then they start adding the butter one square at a time. Boop, boop, till they have, like, probably like a whole stick of butter in there or more into the brioche. If you're doing it by hand, it's really a pain in the butt because it's messy. It's just messy to add the fat in after you've already added all the ingredients in. I have different ways of doing that. I actually don't usually use butter. I'm not even vegan butter. I've done it with almond flour. That's fun. There are other ways to do it. You can do it with like tahini and things like that to make a healthier version. And I've made an avocado brioche before, which maybe I'll do with you guys on here. It's really good and it's different and it's pretty healthy. And it's actually not that bad. I kind of enjoy putting the avocado in more than I enjoy putting the butter in. The butter's kind of gross to me. It's like all greasy and avocado's not. But yes. So the enriched dough is just kind of a pain in the butt, and it's not as healthy for the most part. Like I said, the avocado one's pretty healthy, but if you add like 3 sticks of butter into your bread, it's... There you go, that looks good. I feel like that's why bread gets a bad rap. Like everyone says, oh, carbs, it's the carbs. Guys, I know no one's really here to hear me vent about how everyone thinks carbs are gonna make you fat. But they're not. I guess anything in excess, right? Anything in excess, but whole grains are not bad for you. Maybe too much white flour, yeah, sure. But whole grains are not bad for you. They're very good. They have lots and lots of nutrients. Lots of fiber and whole grains, which Americans don't get enough of. And most foods that have a lot of fiber are high carb foods. And we're afraid of carbs. So ridiculous. And what I was saying is that I feel like bread sometimes gets a bad rap because of the carbs, but a lot of the more unhealthy breads are really just the added, I guess sugar is carb, yeah, sure. But added sugar and fat from like things like butter. Let's just say I eat bread every day. Okay? I do. I am the bakeress, so. But like I said, not only, but I usually make lean doughs. I'm not really an enriched dough girl because I will eat it all. And it's not good for you. That's not good for you. Right, Munch? Munchkin doesn't eat bread, so unfortunately. He only eats dry food and wet food. Alright, these two I can let rest for a little bit. And I'll do this one next. Okay. Good. These look good. These look good. Last time it wasn't so hot. I think something was wrong with the temperature of my little electric stove, but now it's fine. I can show you some of the ones that cooled down a little bit. They're really nice. Let's see how soft they are. Oh yeah, they're soft. They're nice and soft. So I think I have to try one, but in terms of eating, but I'm sure it's fine. Success. I think these are successful. I think the hydration seems like a good level of hydration, so I think I'll just update the my website blog post about this, so you can make it with whole wheat or white. I used white whole wheat because I like that one better for stuff like this. I actually did make one with whole wheat, like regular whole wheat, yesterday or the day before, sometime this week. And it was definitely really good, but it was like very strong flavor, like a very strong wheat flavor. Be careful. And I was just thinking, I'll try the white whole wheat. I think that'll be better for this. I think I'm going to be right. But you can use whole wheat because I did it. And I followed the same thing with the adding a little bit more water. Yeah, but these feel really nice. Yeah, you can also, you could use all bread flour, lower the hydration if you use all just bread flour. But I always mix some kind of amount of whole wheat into what I'm baking, depending on what I'm making. Unless I'm making like a dessert, then I'll use, all bread flour, all white flour. But otherwise, I like to add a little bit of whole wheat, if not a lot of it of whole wheat. Okay, that one looks good. To what I'm making. So this one's 50-50. It's 50% bread flour, 50% whole wheat. That's a pretty good ratio. I always try to do at least 20%, 30% around there. But I do make some that are, maybe next week we can do 100% whole wheat. I actually really like that one, and I use the regular whole wheat. Depends on what you're going for. Like, I like the whole wheat flavor, but on my flatbread, for some reason, I don't want the whole wheat flavor. It really depends on what you're going for. Okay. This bread cam is coming in handy today. You can see all the bubbles coming up. I think that's cool. Oh, you can see fig in the camera. My fig tree is huge. You can't escape it. It's taking up the whole room, okay? You can see a little bit of fig. That's my pet fig tree. His name is Fig. He hasn't produced any figs yet, but he might. He's so big. So big. Okay, and I think I told you that guys this already, but I'll tell you again. I thought he died last year because he got a fungus and he stopped growing. But I just let him chill out in the winter. He wasn't growing, but I let him sit here, and in the spring he just started growing again. So yeah, I guess he's kind of hard to kill, which is a good thing. Apparently fungus is like pretty common in figs, so you just gotta be careful. Like I said, when we get a house, maybe fig can go in the ground, have more space to grow, because right now he's in a pot. I did switch his pot recently. He's in the biggest pot that I own right now, so his next stop is the ground. All right, you see how puffy it is? It's good. Woo, looks good. But yeah, he's in the biggest pot I own. I don't remember why I got these pots. Probably I was starting my indoor garden during COVID to keep me preoccupied. And I'm happy I did. I did a lot of fuck ups during that time. Oh, sorry. Screw ups? Is that more polite? I don't know. I messed up a lot with the garden because it was my first time doing it during COVID. I got fungus gnats. I don't know what else. I remember the fungus gnats was a big deal the first time, my first go around. But that's where I think I had these pots from that time, these big ass ones. But they and I don't really use them anymore. But they came in handy for Fig. They had Fig's name on it because Fig was outgrowing his last one, which was already a pretty big pot. So I'll do this one first. The dough is really nice to work with, so about the same as the spelt, but I think this one's actually less sticky, so it's good. You can see it start to puff up again. It's like I might have startled it by touching it, but it should still puff up. So yeah, we started around 10:30, and I was talking to you guys for a little bit before we actually got going. So I think it did take about a half hour by the time we get everything done. I think it'll be maybe 30 minutes, maybe 40. So maybe it's about the same time, but it's much easier, I think. Maybe more hands-on time during this process, but it's so easy. I sometimes do other things while I'm doing this. You know, once I get everything rolled out, like to this stage where I can just stretch it out with my hands, I'm like, all right, just wait for that to be done. I kind of clean up a little bit, doing other things while I'm waiting. Yeah, that's good. See? It's good. They feel so good. This one's almost a rectangle. So I'll be on here every Sunday. I used to be on twice a week. Now I'm only on once a week. We'll see what happens with the next semester and everything. I never know what my schedule's going to be. But yeah, I've been keeping myself busy. Um, the I own for those who don't know, I own a cottage bakery. I operate my own cottage bakery outside of my kitchen. That's what cottage bakery means. It's outside of my home kitchen. So it is a small operation, and I only sell from my house once per week. But that's been going well. We've been doing really, really well with that. So that's keeping me busy. Cleaning up the house is keeping me busy. We might might be moving. Might. I don't want to put it in the water yet if it doesn't happen. I love where we live, so I actually don't want to move. It kind of makes me sad. I'm not gonna lie, but we do want to own property. If we just keep renting, it's just going to go. We're not going to be able to afford it. We can't afford to buy property, but we can't afford to keep renting property. So we might have to move to a place where we can afford to buy property. If we want kids, we can't raise kids in the apartment we're in, even though the apartment is amazing. Kind of want an actual garden instead of a living room garden. So yeah, sometimes you have to make sacrifices for stuff like that, and the sacrifice might be moving to a different city. That might be a little farther away, but I think it'll be for the better. So it's tricky. It's like growing pains. I'm in my 30s, but I guess you always still experience growing pains. This guy's a little rectangle. He's cute. If you guys know anywhere that's affordable in this area, let me know. Um, we live in New Jersey. It's not affordable here, but I'm curious. But we're thinking of going down to Delaware because it is more affordable there, and we can get a nicer house there. We don't even need anything big. We're not looking for a mansion, but even just a regular size house, like a 3-bedroom house here, with small rooms, is like 600K. Plus, you have to remember the taxes up here are crazy, so it would be impossible to pay the mortgage every month. Maybe we could get a down payment together. We're really good savers. We can get a down payment together. And maybe even we could afford the mortgage, but the mortgage plus the taxes included, no way. The taxes are like what we're paying in rent right now. That's incredible. I can't even. It's unfathomable. No wonder like all these big companies are buying up the properties and renting them out. It's impossible. So yeah, that's why we're thinking of moving to Delaware. But if you guys know of any place that's affordable, that's livable for a couple who don't drive and rely on public transit for the most part, let me know. Let me know. Our minds are open. This is good. Hot, hot, hot. I don't know if you guys can hear the birds, but we're also blessed. We're too blessed to be stressed with we live in a city, but we're surrounded by wildlife here. There's actually a nature reserve. Somewhere like I think it's a bird reserve. I don't know. It's mostly for birds. It's right around the corner from us, and when we wake up, we hear all these birds. And we're spoiled. We're really just spoiled. That's why it's gonna hurt to leave. We're so spoiled. We have to find a place that just it has to have birds. I know everywhere has birds. It has to have a nature reserve around the corner, and a park right in front of us, and public transit. We're just so spoiled. Living the good life. You can see it start bubbling. Right, Munch? So that's the last one. It's 11:16. Maybe it did take 40 minutes instead of 30, like I said. So maybe it's about the same amount of time as baking a loaf. But, I think in the summer this is better. In the winter, maybe this is kind of a waste of time because you can get more loaves in the oven for this amount of time. I fit 5 loaves in my oven at once. And you might think, why would you ever do that? And it's like, well, first of all, for my cottage bakery, that's why I started doing that. But now I just do it for the fact now I know I can. So to save energy, I get at least 3 in at once always, or try to. But if I do 5, that's even better. And then I just put some in the freezer because and it tastes really good from the freezer. So it's not like even, I know fresh bread. So fresh bread's better, but from the freezer, as long as you cut it up while it's fresh, put it in the freezer. It's legit. It's really good. Oh, poofy. Oh, perfect. Oh, this one might turn into a pocket. Look at how it poofs up like that. It must be really hot, the electric oven. It just poofed up real nice. And I've frozen these before too. They freeze well. These do freeze well. They're soft. See? I don't know if you can see it. And it's browned. It can get a little more brown. And I put fillings in here, like what we made last week. The peanut tempeh would taste good as a filling for this. I've done that before. I've made a Caesar salad wrap. I don't have that on. The only sandwich filling I have up on my website is the tempeh one that we made last week, but I'll get more up there. But I made a Caesar salad once. I made crab cakes to put in the wrap. That's really good. But usually, I'm just like, I'll put peanut butter on this, some veggies, and some sriracha. And you might think that's weird, but it's quite amazing. Savory peanut butter toast, my favorite. I'll usually just do that, and it's like great. It's amazing. But yeah, you can basically anything you do with bread, you can probably put in here. Like a hummus wrap would be good in this. Right, Munch? No, actually, Munch says no. He doesn't like bread, but he likes cheesy poofs. All right, I'm gonna turn this off. Let it start cooling down. These things do take a while to cool down. Okay. Nothing fall, please. I have to check if that's off. That's good. Okay, yeah, these things take so long to cool down. Let me make sure I turned it off. Yeah. Okay. Let me put in my socials. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, if you're new here, I do update my socials fairly regularly. I have a YouTube that I post shorts on too. So I post shorts on there. I repost these videos on there. If you ever want to go back to these videos, I repost them. My Discord is a little dead, but you guys can make it more alive if you want. I do post on there. I post updates on there. I post my recipes on there. Other people do too. Post like what they've been making on there, and that's really what it's for. Eventually, I want it to be more for you guys, just to post what you've been doing. It's mostly geared towards baking and cooking, but if you want, to talk about something else, you can. And then we have Instagram there. Instagram, I usually use it more so for my cottage bakery, but I also post stuff about my Twitch on there as well. And if you're curious about my cottage bakery, just because maybe you are from New Jersey, or maybe you just want to see what's going on, that's where you would see it on my Instagram. And then my Pinterest is basically just my recipes. So what I make on here, I usually add a recipe on my blog, and then I'll make a pin to post it. So if you're interested in my recipes, my Pinterest would be where to see me posting about that. And yeah, those are all my socials. I technically have a TikTok, but I don't use it. It's so many, so I can't keep up with them. I can't update all of them. I always forget, so I try to keep it simple. Already, there's too much, too much in my opinion. But yes, so stay tuned. I'll be back next week um, to make some bread. Hopefully, next week we'll do bread. I don't know what it will be, but I have some stuff up my sleeve, so we'll see. We'll see. I have some ideas, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, thank everyone for coming. We have flatbread. I'll update my blog post about the flatbread to include a whole wheat option. I might have already written that you can sub out for whole wheat because I knew it was doable, but I want to add that you should add more water to it because maybe I wasn't thinking of that when I wrote that down. But they're really good. They're really soft. They're nice and warm. And I'll try one later, and I'm sure it'll be fine. I doubt it's going to be bad on the inside for some reason, so it'll be fine. Okay? So thank you everyone for coming, and hopefully I'll see you on Sunday, next Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Okay? Bye everyone!